Have you ever found yourself wide awake at exactly 3 a.m., staring into the darkness, heart pounding, with an overwhelming sense that something is happening, but you can't explain what? Maybe you thought it was anxiety, or just a strange coincidence. But what if it's not? What if that specific hour isn't random at all, but rather a spiritual signal, an invitation into something deeper that almost no one recognizes? At exactly 3 a.m., while most of the world is asleep, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere. This is not folklore. It's not superstition. It's a truth that has been buried under years of religious tradition and silence. Because at that very moment, when everything is still, God speaks. And almost no one is listening. There is a verse in the Bible, hidden in plain sight, that reveals why some people feel their prayers are delayed, why opportunities seem to slip away, why doors don't open no matter how long they knock, and why God's timing often feels mysterious and silent. And when I uncovered what this verse really meant, and what actually happened spiritually at 3 a.m., it shook me to my core. Suddenly, all the nights I cried, all the moments I felt forgotten, made perfect sense. It wasn't rejection. It was preparation. What I'm about to share with you is not a popular message. It's not something you'll hear on a Sunday morning sermon or find in most devotionals. Not because it's false, but because it's dangerous to reveal. Because the moment you understand it, really understand it, you'll begin to see why certain patterns keep repeating in your life. You'll see why your breakthrough always seems just out of reach. And you'll discover how the spiritual realm responds to those who are awake during the hours others choose to sleep. The truth is, 3 a.m. is not just a random time. It's a moment of divine alignment. It's a gate between the physical and the spiritual. It's when heaven leans in. It's when spiritual battles intensify, when clarity is available, when assignments from God are often whispered to the few who are still enough to hear. That verse I mentioned, what it reveals will challenge what you think you know about God's silence. If you've ever felt like your life was on pause, like no matter how much you prayed, fasted, or believed, something invisible was holding you back, and you're exactly who this message is for. Maybe you felt alone, confused, like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck in the same place. That feeling isn't failure. It's a symptom of spiritual timing. You are not behind. You're being positioned. And yet, here's the part that no one dares to say out loud. The moment that can unlock everything often comes when you're the most tired, the most unsure, the most broken. That's why so many people sleep through the very hour God is trying to wake them up. That's why you've felt a pull, a tension in your spirit. It's not your imagination. It's a calling. So if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and felt like something more was happening, if your heart has ever beat a little faster for no reason, if you've ever stared into the darkness, wondering why you felt so alert while the world slept, this message is not just for you. It's about you. And it's time you heard what was never meant to stay hidden. Because what comes next is the reason you've been waiting. Before we go deeper, if you've ever felt stuck, delayed, or like your life isn't aligned with God's timing, take a moment and write, "I'm listening" in the comments. This video didn't find you by accident. Throughout Scripture, we see a divine pattern. God speaks at night, but never without purpose. The nighttime in the Bible is sacred. It's when heaven touches earth in ways the natural world often ignores. God never wastes the dark. When Jacob wrestled with the angel, it was in the stillness of night. When Samuel first heard the voice of God calling his name, it was not during daylight. It was while he was lying down to sleep. Paul, while imprisoned and surrounded by darkness, received direction and clarity from the Lord. And these weren't just moments of comfort. They were turning points, divine intersections that shifted destinies. But there is something even more specific, more mysterious. A sacred hour, hidden in ancient texts and whispered through generations of spiritual warriors. 3 a.m. According to ancient Hebrew teachings, 3 a.m. marks a moment of spiritual transition. It's when the veil between the physical and the spiritual is thinnest. It's when resistance begins to weaken and revelation begins to pour out. This hour isn't random. It isn't just another moment in the night. It's a divine doorway. This is why so many people find themselves waking up at that exact time, full of anxiety, restlessness, or even tears they can't explain. And here's the truth that no one is saying. It's not just insomnia. It's not your mind being overactive. It's your spirit responding to a call. The heaviness you feel at 3 a.m., it's not weakness. It's not failure. It's not because you lack faith. It's because something is being stirred. Something is being birthed. Heaven is preparing something in you, through you, and around you. And it's happening in the quiet when no one else is watching. You're not losing your mind. You're in transition. You're in the space where the presence of God speaks not through noise, but through silence. That tension you feel? It's spiritual alignment. It's God's timing adjusting your path. It's your spirit syncing with divine rhythm. And the moment you understand that, everything begins to change. Because what you thought was a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in disguise. And what you thought was God's silence may just be the moment He's speaking the loudest, not to your ears, but to your soul. And the deeper we go, the more you'll understand why this hour has been feared by the enemy and forgotten by the church. Because in this space, power is transferred, assignments are released, vision is restored, and very few are awake enough to receive it. But you are here. You're watching. You felt it. And that means something is opening over your life right now. But what does this really mean for you? What is the message that's been waiting in the silence, hidden behind the mystery of your sleepless nights, waiting to be revealed at exactly the right moment? The answer is in the Word of God, right there in a verse that most people quote, but almost no one fully understands. The Bible verse is Psalm 30:5. You've probably heard it before. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. But there's more going on here than meets the eye. This isn't just a poetic phrase. This is a coded spiritual truth about timing, delay, pain, and breakthrough. And to truly grasp its meaning, we have to look beyond the surface. In the original Hebrew, the word translated as morning doesn't simply refer to the time when the sun rises. It goes deeper than that. It speaks of a divine moment and appointed time that has been set by heaven. This morning is not based on your clock. It doesn't follow your schedule. It's not 6 a.m. on a Tuesday or the moment your alarm goes off. It's the moment when God says, now. It's when the alignment between your preparation and His purpose intersects. That's when everything begins to shift. That's when what was hidden becomes visible. What was blocked gets released. What was delayed suddenly accelerates. So if you've been walking through a night season, if you've been crying, waiting, feeling forgotten or overwhelmed, it's not because you've been rejected. It's because you're being aligned. God's delay is never His denial. He's not ignoring you. He's setting the stage for a kind of joy that only makes sense after weeping. This verse doesn't deny your pain. It validates it. It acknowledges that you've endured something real. But it also declares that your night is not forever. The promise is not, maybe joy will come. It's a guarantee. Joy is coming. And when it arrives, it won't just comfort you. It will transform you. This is why what you feel at 3 a.m. matters. Because in that moment of silence, you're standing on the edge of your divine morning, even if everything still looks dark. You're not drifting. You're on schedule. Right now, you might be watching this video in your room with the lights off, phone in your hand, wondering why your heart is beating a little faster. That's not emotion. That's recognition. Your spirit knows that this message is not just content, it's confirmation. And that should shake you, because it means that your morning isn't far off in the distance. It's already unfolding. The shift you've been praying for isn't coming. It's here. And if this verse is speaking to you right now, if something in your chest feels heavy but hopeful, then take a second, right now, and write, God's timing is perfect, in the comments. Say it not just for you, but for the thousands of others who will find this message and realize they're not alone in the night. Because someone, somewhere, is about to wake up into their appointed moment. Most churches teach patience. You've probably heard it 100 times. Just wait on God. Be still. Trust the process. And while that sounds holy, while it sounds spiritual, there's a missing piece that almost no one talks about, and it's the reason so many believers stay stuck in cycles of delay, confusion, and frustration. The truth is, most people are taught to wait, but not how to recognize when it's time to move. They're taught to be faithful, but not how to align with God's timing. Because when you truly understand timing, when you realize there are divine windows, sacred hours, appointed moments, it changes how you walk with God. You stop begging. You start aligning. You stop doubting. You start discerning. And that shift is powerful because it puts spiritual responsibility back in your hands. It requires awareness. It requires maturity. And it requires listening, not just to sermons, but to the Spirit. This is why many spiritual leaders avoid this conversation. Because once you teach people that God's timing can be discerned, that His windows of breakthrough can be missed or activated, depending on their sensitivity and alignment, you challenge the passivity that religion has made comfortable. You break the cycle of waiting endlessly and introduce the possibility that maybe, just maybe, some delays aren't from God, but from our own spiritual blindness. That's dangerous to systems that thrive on control, because free believers are powerful. Aligned believers are unstoppable. But the enemy knows this. And that's why the attack doesn't come at 2 p.m. when everything is going well. The attack comes at night, in the silence. When you're alone, that's when the doubts speak the loudest. That's when the pressure builds. That's when the questions scream, "Where is God? Why is this taking so long? What if nothing ever changes?" But don't be confused. That pressure isn't proof that you're far from your breakthrough. It's evidence that you're standing at the door, because night has always been the doorway to transformation. And the closer you get to that door opening, the louder the silence becomes. Spiritual warfare doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it feels like God is absent. But He's not. He's watching, measuring your response, preparing what you cannot see. The enemy hopes you'll sleep through your divine moment, that you'll ignore the stirring in your spirit, that you'll treat your awakening as anxiety instead of alignment. But if you've made it this far into this message, then something in you already knows better. You know the night is not just darkness. It's the space between what was and what's coming. You know your delay has a deeper meaning. You know this isn't just another video. And if no one ever told you this before, let me say it clearly now. The silence you feel doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means you're being trusted. Trusted with tension. Trusted with timing. Trusted with the kind of breakthrough that can't be rushed. Trusted with revelation that not everyone is ready to carry. This is not just about patience. This is about alignment. And the night is where that alignment is tested. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're in position. And what's coming next will make sense of everything you've had to carry in silence. Tonight, don't resist the night. Don't scroll endlessly, trying to distract yourself from the silence. Don't numb the ache that rises when everything is quiet. Tonight, lean in. Don't fight the stillness. Sit with it. Let it speak. Let your tears speak. Let your spirit speak. Because in this sacred hour, when the world is quiet and the noise of life fades, God isn't just watching. He's whispering. And those whispers are not small. They are strategy. They are alignment. They are answers to the very prayers you thought were ignored. But He couldn't release the response until you are ready to receive it. That's what 3 a.m. is. It's not punishment. It's preparation. It's a place where the distractions are stripped away and your soul is exposed, honest, desperate, available. This is the hour when God rewrites timelines, when He speaks not to your ears, but to your destiny. This is when healing begins, not because everything changes in that moment, but because you change. You become aware. You become aligned. You start to see that His timing wasn't against you. It was saving you from premature doors. It was holding back what you thought you wanted, so He could release what you actually needed. Some of you have been carrying bitterness, believing the delay was rejection. Some of you have questioned your own worth, thinking your prayers didn't measure up. But tonight, the Spirit of God wants to shift that mindset. What if you're not late? What if you're right on schedule? What if the tears you cried weren't wasted? They were watering the ground for what's about to grow. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of divine clarity. And here's what I need you to know before you sleep tonight. Speak less. Listen more. Let your heart posture shift from "Why, God?" to "I'm listening, Lord." Because the same God who speaks at 3 a.m., The same God who moved in Jacob's wrestling, who called Samuel's name in the dark, who opened prison doors for Paul in the middle of the night, that God is the same one preparing your morning. And when your morning comes, not just the time on your clock, but the divine moment he appointed, it will make sense of every dark night you've endured. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. You just have to sit still long enough for heaven to speak. And the voice you hear may not be loud, but it will be real. It will bring peace. It will bring direction. It will bring rest. And rest is not inactivity. It's confidence. It's knowing that while you've been waiting, God has been working. But before you go, there's something else you need to know. Something most people miss. You see, while you've been focused on spiritual breakthrough, there's been another battle happening quietly behind the scenes. An invisible war, not for your salvation, but for your provision, for your finances, for your stability, for your ability to provide, to dream, to build. The enemy has studied your patterns. He's not just after your peace, he's after your resources. And unless you understand this warfare, you'll keep living in spiritual breakthrough, but natural lack. And that disconnect will wear you down. That's why in the next video, I'm going to show you what's really happening in the spiritual realm. The war that's been waged over your money, your provision, your abundance, and why you felt blocked even after praying. Because what you don't know could be the very thing costing you your financial peace. And when you understand it, everything changes. If this message has stirred something in you, if you felt seen, felt aligned, felt something break open inside of you tonight, I want you to comment below. Share what part hit you the most. Or just write the words, God is aligning me, so others who are walking through the same night can know they're not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are right on time. And your morning is closer than you think. If this message reached you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video. Someone else is awake right now, wrestling in silence, and they need to know they're not alone. They need to know that God is still speaking in the night. Subscribe to this channel, because the next video is going to unlock something most believers never see. It's called The Invisible War Over Your Money and Why You Feel Stuck. What's been blocking you isn't just natural, it's spiritual, and we're going to expose it. And before you go, drop a comment that says, I trust God's timing. Your words may be the exact confirmation someone else has been praying for. Let's fill this comment section with faith, and let the algorithm carry this message to everyone who's been waiting in the dark.